Teachers of Reddit, what's the weirdest rumor you've heard about a student? Apparently a 6th grader cried his eyes out during health class because learning about the skeletal system freaked him out. Health teacher started talking about ribs and he started panicking, saying he was too uncomfortable to handle any more of the lesson. Just think. There's a skeleton inside you right now waiting to come out. Okay. A girl who lied on social media about having an affair with a teacher. She recanted later when it was revealed he was gay. First she claimed to have been hacked. Then she said it never happened to her but to another girl she was protecting. Full police investigation later and she admitted to doing it because she felt she needed support from her peers. One student was rumored to be a Satanist witch who was scared to God's holy light, since she wore modest clothing and used an umbrella in full sun. She had vitiligo and was undergoing a steroid therapy that made her extremely sensitive to sunlight. Colleague married a much younger woman who was rumored to be his student. She was neither. The woman they saw him with was his daughter. There was a brother and sister who were rumored to have been forced into sexual acts by their parents. Girlfriends' friends were like that. Dad abused them. Either raped them himself or forced them to have sex while he watched. Brother and sister said they were younger at the time. He'd rape both of them almost every day. Ended up going to jail for it. Heard he's getting released soon. The daughter still loves him and thinks he can change. Son wants absolutely nothing to do with him. 2 students, fraternal twins, arrive at the school age 15. One looked older than the other. But that happens. Then the rumor comes out that they are not twins, but sisters. I tell the behavior support workers who look into it. Turns out one of the sisters is 22 years old. Parents lied about her age to get her into the school and therefore stay in the country. Whoops. A new transfer student enlisted the help of all of his existing friends in the school to spread the rumor that his real name was Mbaku and he was born in Wakanda, Africa, to all the teachers. While speaking in a really shoddy Nigerian accent, we're in the American Northeast. I was hired halfway through the year and by then it was just assumed that it was true and no one had corrected it. He was brought up in a teachers meeting and I was just like, wait. Mbaku? From the fictional continent of Wakanda? And no one says anything. Dead room. I press on. Double quote. Black Panther? The movie? Guys? And suddenly the social studies teacher stands up and slams his fist on the table. Point at the vice principal. And just yells, I goddamn told you. Good times. Good times. Former band director here. We had a color guard girl who could not catch any time she tossed her flag. The kids made up a rumor that she had a glass eye and that was why she couldn't catch anything. 2 years later, the girl was about to graduate and came into our office to talk to the staff. She had never told a soul, but her left eye had been glass for years. She lost it in a car accident before moving into our district. You couldn't tell by just looking at her. Turns out, the made up rumor was 100% spot on. Back in October, me and a similar looking teacher kept getting mixed up by our kids. 7th grade. We started a rumor by giving little hints that we were half brothers. Nothing super obvious, but just enough to get them thinking. We've been pouring it on a lot more recently though. Hopefully we can get a photo with my dad over spring break right before April Fool's Day. Edit. Kids were confused. They were wrapping their heads around it for a while. Eventually one of them goes, "Goddammit, Mr. Torrigiano. I don't know whether to be mad or impressed at how long y'all kept this up." There was this rumor that this senior girl in my high school was dating one of the science teachers. She hung around his office and after class a lot. But it seemingly was nothing. Just kids making up dumb shit for whatever reasons they do. He was a beloved teacher. And she was pretty low-key. But a cool girl nonetheless. Figured some douche got a bad grade or had it out for the guy somehow. Nothing ever came of it. Curveball. A few months after she graduated he divorced his wife. Left his family. and went public on Facebook that he was dating this 18-year-old girl. He was probably in his mid-40s. What the duck? Did not see that coming. Edit, for everyone asking. This was in NY. Lot of science teachers getting it from teens out there apparently. My mom's a teacher and I went to high school where she taught. She had a student who I was also friends with. I ended up hanging out with him again after a few years, and after some drinks he told me he was in a couple pornos right after he graduated. My mom couldn't mcducking believe it when I told her because he was, and still is, a really polite, quirky, socially awkward kid. He refuses to tell me his porn name though, which I'm bummed about. I'm pretty sure he ducks like a stallion. I had a student that was rumored to have eaten a piece of sheet. He was out of school for about a week or two around the time this rumor was spreading. When he came back to school he was charging kids $1 per view from the camcorder he had in his locker. Sadly, this rumor was true. Amazingly, his girlfriend didn't dump him. Full stop. I once successfully started the rumor that one of my students was born with a tail. Just because he said I couldn't do it. You seem like one of those really chill teachers that everybody likes. More teacher adjacent than a teacher. But there was a rumor that this one extremely strange young lady was the product of incest and that her mom, aunt, would only let her drink pineapple juice. I think the reality was far more banal. She definitely had some kind of issues. But it was probably your garden variety developmental delay or something like that. Poor girl. She was nice. In her way. Not a teacher, but students at my high school started rumors that I was having intense exhaust pipe sex with Lightning McQueen. The whole school bought into it, and at award ceremonies they'd all yell "Ka-chow" when I walked on stage. Student's dad was a dentist. Stole his dad's sedatives and sold them or something. Can't verify the truth of it. But that student isn't at the school anymore. So that would explain why. Not a teacher. But there was a rumor where a female 6th grader in our school was actually a male. I was curious about it too. But one day she had to move and said out loud, "Just so you know, I'm not a male," and left. Not a teacher. However, when I was in high school there was a rumor going around that a French teacher was reading erotic books while in lesson. I thought it was just another joke which the students made up. However, one day in French, we have the rumored teacher. As my small class was doing work off the interactive whiteboard, which can be frozen on a slide while the teacher can do other work. I look up for maybe a few seconds to see that the freeze button didn't work and my teacher was on a page which I scanned through quickly to pick out words which were erotic. I then put my eyes down to avoid being caught. Turns out after our teacher fixed his mistake, others in the class saw what I did. And for the rest of the lesson, we giggled silently. Not just because he was reading it. It was also because his wife works as a teacher in the same school. Oof. Not a teacher. But in middle school somehow rumors started that I was les. One teacher would treat me differently because of it. She wouldn't let me sit near other girls. She'd get mad at me if I hugged a female friend, etc. That he's my boyfriend. He's 9 and I'm his social worker. Not a teacher, but I heard about one of my colleagues. So once in 7th grade after finishing maths class it was recess time. Everyone went out of the class except a boy and a girl. The latter was known for staying to read books and stuff. Anyway, we came back from recess only to find that the girl wasn't there anymore while the boy was sitting in the back with a red hand mark. 100% a critical strike slap. Everyone thought he was giving her money to have sex. This is 7th grade, mind you, because there were eyewitnesses. After a few days of problems with the administration, these ducking snitches I swear, it turns out he was giving her money to buy him a certain book. She was the class rep and any book we were required to have must have been purchased by her, but she misinterpreted it. He was very shy, so he just handed over the money in hopes she would understand. That's also the reason he waited until everyone was gone. I'm not a teacher, but my sister's high school had started a rumor about this short girl. The rumor was she was short because she only had one lung. Just so ducking weird, not even mean or detrimental at all, just so odd. She was short cause a spinal thing. Heard a rumor kids were doing coke in the bathroom. I worked at an inner city school and coke really wasn't a big problem, pot was their choice. I walked out of my class during planning period to find a girl walking out of the bathroom with white powder on her nose. I asked her about it and she responded with "It's powder donuts. MRS. Capital K. I swear. I'm pregnant and it's all I want to eat. But everyone thinks I'm doing coke." She then pulled out 2 empty bags of powder donuts. We got her connected to some pregnancy help. A girl. Capital K. Made a rumor up that one of the English teachers, Mr. Capital Y, was having sex with his students in his classroom because K didn't like his wife. MRS. Capital Y. Who was also a teacher at the same school. I guess MRS. Y had failed her or something and she wanted to cause marriage problems for them. Anyways. It was actually true. He was having sex with female students in his classroom. He had a couch in his class for reading purposes. Nah. It was for ducking underage girls. Which should have been obvious. But a lot of English teachers had little reading areas in their classrooms, so IDK. I think the wife got custody of their 2 children and he fled the state. I go to many schools, so I have heard several rumors, but one stuck in my mind the most. I went to an extremely ghetto school for the first time. Apparently the substitute they had the week before left the classroom in tears and was unable to substitute ever again due to emotional issues. They told me that one of the students stole her brand new iPhone and she ran into the bathroom crying. I asked why the student did it. They hated her voice. Apparently. I'm so glad that didn't hate me or my voice. The kids were nothing but nice to me. I had a really weird student who was asking all kinds of odd personal questions and texted me at odd hours. I never responded. Talked to another teacher who had the same student previously, and she told me that student had a really unnatural sleep cycle because, and I quote, "The student was an avid worshipper of Satan. The student was on standby for spontaneous worship at all hours of the day. The student actually told me about it later on. Nothing threatening. Just very matter-of-factly. Confirmed the whole thing and hinted about being part of a large group. And hinted at there being many ways one must be ready to serve. Didn't get any clarification. So it might just have been to mess with me. Not my worst student. But odd. Not a teacher and not necessarily a weird rumor. But an interesting story nonetheless. During my summer camp there was a rumor going around that a guy and a girl were twins. They didn't look similar and they showed up in different cars. So most people didn't believe it. Since most people didn't believe the rumors, no one asked the guy or girl for a couple of weeks. But eventually, someone brought it up in conversation. The guy and the girl both revealed that yes, they were in fact twins. But their parents had a divorce when they were young. And each parent got custody of one kid. That definitely made more sense than the other theories people were coming up with. Physics teacher in my school and lead the robotics club was rumored to be gay. Turns out, they were MTF transgender. And got the surgery one summer and came back as her real self. She was fired 2 weeks later for arbitrary reasons and blacklisted from other school districts. She had to move states entirely. And this, children, is another reason why I ducking hate organized religions, Mormons. I live in Utah. The state is a theocracy. The teacher didn't conform with the school board's draconic views and was subsequently fired. A guy from my high school married his English teacher about a year after high school. Someone from my high school married one of the English teachers as well. This is over 5 years after graduating high school, but still kinda weird. I taught English at an all-girls Catholic school in Central America. I was told by another teacher that one of the seniors was working nights at a strip club and that the nuns that ran the school knew about it but did nothing because she was supporting 2 younger siblings. Not a teacher but one of the students in the grade below me and his brother. Small school. I knew everyone in it. Didn't show up for 2 days. So for some reason, somebody started a rumor that they bought a used pocket pussy online and they both got AIDS. They were in 7th grade. I had a student with severe learning disabilities and a speech impediment. The mother was called into a meeting so that they could classify the student and put forth an IEP. She refused to give her child the help he needed. She said she was going to take him to a witch in her country to expel the demon from within him. I could almost never understand what the student was saying, and his penmanship and responses were that of a pre-K student. Not a teacher, but when I was in HS a new guy transferred into our school. Of course rumors abound, but the guy was jacked for a high school student and he was able to rock a pretty impressive mustache. Yep. The standard. I heard he's an undercover cop. Rumor started a few weeks after he transferred. I was a camp counselor 10+ years ago. We had a pair of twins who were super young. Like maybe between 4 and 7. Their mother was obsessive about what they ate. No candy. No sweets. No more than 800 calories a day. She even rationed off their water. I was too young to do anything about it or know the whole story. The older counselors were sketchy about it if I asked. But the younger counselors and I suspected the mom was forcing her ED on the kids. A few years back there was a rumor that a teenager who'd been murdered was killed by one of my students for not switching shifts with him at work. Not a teacher. But there was a rumor about these two emo brothers at our school that apparently had tried to murder each other when the other was sleeping. Multiple times. I didn't believe it. But one of them did have a nasty scar across his neck. No idea what happened to him. Not a weird rumor, but a very recurring one whenever a colleague is absent for longer than a week or two. Mr. MRS. X is depressed because said with a sense of pride she couldn't handle us. Not a teacher. But I heard from a teacher I was close with that a student was rumored to be atheist. It was a town who were really religious. She was weirded out that people were gossiping about it.